I was informed that there might as well be new members from our side. So we'll have that item of introduction so that we don't leave anybody outside. So this is our first meeting with the new established NIOC. We met the PICC of the Eastern Cape, but equally they might want to inform us about whatever developments in the context of knowing each other before we get to the business. Can I start with the members of the Portfolio Committee? Introduce myself as Fikile Xasa, Chairperson of the Portfolio Committee. Can we start with you, Honorable Xasa?
Thank you very much, Chairperson. My name is Khanya Xeza. I am an alternate member of this committee. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Can you help me, Chair? I can open the screen as I said to you, because you won't hear me what I'm saying. I'll be cut by the load shedding.
No,
my
just
name,
introduce. Yes.
My name is Priti Kabanjaba, a member of the Committee of Cooperative Governance. Thank you.
Honorable Mpumza.
Good morning, Chair, and honorable members. Good morning, Chair and honorable members. I am Tsanika Mpumza, member of the committee.
Yes, Honorable Space. Honorable Space, I can see you are the one who said you have a new member. I thought you'd introduce yourself and the member.
Good morning, Chair.
Morning.
Yes, the member, I'm Honorable Eleanor Spies, member of this committee, and our new member is Honorable Gisela Opperman. She's supposed to be in the meeting and she can obviously introduce herself, Chairperson.
Yes, we can see the name. Honorable Mkhalipi.
Good morning, Chairperson, and good morning to the colleagues. I'm Honorable Mkhalipi, a member of this committee. Unfortunately, we are load shedded here in Acacia, and I'll request Chair not to open my camera. And secondly, Chair, I have an issue that I want to raise before we start our meeting here. If you can permit me, I'll appreciate.
Before we finish the introduction, or let's finish the introduction so that okay, you know who is in here when you raise whatever issue. I see no other member for now, but if it happens that it might be there, would greatly appreciate that. I have noted the leadership of NIOC, Inkosi Mahlangu, who is the chairperson. I assume he might be in here, so I would like to recognize him and allow him and the team to introduce themselves. This is the National Initiation. No, it's the initiation. What is this? NIOC. Inkosi Mahlangu, are you in? Or your deputy, if you are not in?
Oh, yes, Chair. Good morning, Chairperson, Portfolio Committee. Good morning, everyone. I'm Kosi VW Mahlangu, National Initiation Oversight Committee. Thank you, Chair.
Are the other members going to introduce themselves?
Good morning, Chairperson.
Yes.
Thank you. Uguale Khosisa Tlholo, the Chairperson of the National House of Traditional and Khoisan Leaders. I'm with the Deputy Chairperson of the National House, Nkosi Langa Mavuso. He will introduce himself. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. I am Nkosi Langa Mavuso, the Deputy Chairperson of the National House of Traditional Leaders.
Thank you. Okay. Let's assume. In fact, I almost because this is the National House that I was saying. We after the elections, there was no where we met, and I think it's critical that we should meet and understand. Then the NIOC that would work with insofar as this matter that we are dealing with here. Can I allow I was informed the Deputy Minister, Honorable Bapela, I can see him here. I welcome DM. And I would assume, unless then would get apologies, there would be MEC from the Eastern Cape. And but beyond that, then let's allow Honorable Kwadiso to introduce the PICC members who might be here.
Thank you, Chairperson. On the PICC members, it's myself, and I would presume that the other members would introduce themselves. I prefer to take it that way. Thank you.
That's fine. If there's any other member from the PICC, as I've seen the HOD and the DG as well. It looks like for now, let's assume, but they will introduce themselves as we proceed. Let me start with the DG, National DTA. DG and your team. Would you like to introduce yourselves, or you say we know you?
Good morning, Honorable Chairperson, Honorable Deputy Minister, and Honorable members of the committee. My name is Mashwa Sedipufa, the Director General of the Department of Traditional Affairs, and I'm accompanied by officials from the Department of Traditional Affairs. Thank you so much, Honorable Chairperson.
Thank you. Mr. Fani, HOD from the Eastern Cape.
Good morning, Honorable Chair and the Honorable members, the DG. and all the leadership in the meeting. My name is Andy Lepani, the head of Department of Cooperative Governance and Treasury Affairs in the Eastern Cape. I'm with Mr. Stofile, who is in the Provincial House of Traditional Leaders. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I think that concludes this item of introduction, but we can continue if there's anybody who might not have been recognized. When they are given an opportunity to speak, they can start there. Honorable Mkhaliphi, I think before I start the meeting, let me allow you, you said you want to raise something.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. You'll give direction because it has nothing to do with this meeting, but it has to do with our committee. And this is the only platform whereby we can also talk to you as the chair and other members. It's only two issues, Chair, that you might also be aware that we spoke about it when we have that Canal Land oversight, the issue of strategic workshop with the department and also the update on the study tour. Thank you, Chair.
I think we will find some, yeah, it might not be, especially when we talk about initiation, it might take us completely away from, but I know all these items you are talking about, I think we'll create a platform to deal with that. Can we then start with the meeting? I was advised that the focus is on the Eastern Cape, informed by the fact that during the summer initiation season, we both NIOC and ourselves were almost not there. And but equally, when the matter is being talked about all over, we are expected to have a view or say something about it. So we wanted to take this opportunity to allow the Eastern Cape PICC to present to the committee a report about the summer initiation program. It will be followed by the NIOC presentation before we discuss, so that then we will have a complete picture of what is the current status of the situation. Now, I will not know, you would remember Eastern Cape, we said first, I have not asked for apologies. If there are any apologies, first, can we take those apologies so that I don't struggle to say who must come in? Yes, Mr. Stofile. Yes.
Thank you, Chairperson. These are the apologies. This is my first, Chairperson, but for the sake of the problem that we're having with electricity, I'll just show it and then switch it off again. We've got an apology from the MEC DISRAC, Social Development, I'm sorry, who is attending program in Ngaleni, MEC DISRAC attending a cabinet budget committee, Department of Education, they have not confirmed. The MEC Health indicated that the Chief of Staff will attend. The speakers of the district municipalities, the Amatole DM will be represented by Unkosu Kaulela. EPCM speaker has gotten a prior arrangement. Mr. John Mitchell will represent the speaker, Nelson Mandela Metro. Or Tambo, Speaker Wakona, I'm sorry, Deputy Executive Mayor is responsible for initiation, got the invitation late. We'll try and connect a little bit later. We've got an apology from Sir Bartman. We've got an apology from Usalga. I think, Chairperson, those that have indicated that they will attend, probably they're still going to connect, but this is what, when we're doing the invitations, this is what we've got. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you. In fact, specifically, we wanted to check from the Eastern Cape because you are the ones who must present. I wanted to follow proper protocol, and looking at it now, it then looks like I should allow Honorable Kwadiso to introduce the topic and allow whoever must then present.
Excuse me, Chairperson.
Okay.
Excuse me, Chairperson.
Yes, Honorable Nkosi Mahlangu.
Yes, Chair. NIOC has got two apologies. The Deputy Chairperson is committed at work due to the report that is needed by the Minister, and Dr. Petu from CRL Commission, she's out to Northern Cape, so she won't be able to attend the meeting. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Okay, no, that's fine. Can we then proceed in the order I indicated? Eastern Cape, over to you.
Thank you, Chairperson. My greetings to all the members in the meeting that probably, when I introduced myself earlier, had not yet joined the meeting. Let us appreciate the opportunity and the time to present the report of the initiation of the last season. And I would want to say, ever since the other time, or else the committee was around the Eastern Cape, we have seen some improvement in terms of deaths, and obviously that would be due to certain measures that were taken. As we continue taking measures to curb any death, that would arise. But without going much far, I would request Mr. Stoffel to actually put the report before the committee and go through it as it is necessary. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you.
Is the screen visible, Chair?
Yes, it is.
Okay, don't know what is happening now. Thank you, Chairperson. I'll be presenting the report on the 2022 summer initiation season. This is the presentation outline. And this is the theme that we are using as a province, which says Mabaye bephila, babuye bephila, siyazingca ngesiko lethu. Chairperson, his way of introduction was saying the Eastern Cape has a diverse cultural, customary, and traditional practice. One custom that transcends almost all the cultures is the customary male initiation. But this custom that we pride ourselves of, Chairperson, has been marked by a lot of controversy and beset by a plethora of challenges raising from death and injuries of initiates. The province, the Eastern, has decided to promulgate the Eastern Cape customary male initiation, and that was followed by the national one, which is the Act number 2 of 2021, which came into effect on the 4th of September. All the legal provisions all the legal prescriptions make provision for appropriate interventions intended to mitigate the aforementioned challenges. Throughout all the initiation previous season, plans have been implemented and interventions pursued, but the challenges remain. To pave the way for the 2020 initiation season, a plan was developed in consultation with stakeholders involved in the initiation program. The content of the plan reflected on the commitments made by most municipalities, sector departments, NGOs towards supporting the program of initiation. Through interaction with the PITT and the PICC, and noting the need to accommodate the would-be initiates who are out of school and ready to undergo the custom, the date of opening of the season was agreed to be the 4th of November 2022. The decision was in line with the provisions of Section 27, subsection 1 of the Customary Male Initiation Act number 2 of 2021. That opening was preceded by the opening of the Screening Center for Prospective Initiates, which were opened on the 24th of October 2022. This was to enable the boys to commence with the process of pre-screening before embarking on the initiation process. All this, honorable members, was preceded by the advocacy campaigns that were conducted at the district level. The initiation fora conducted awareness campaign in their areas of jurisdiction. The areas of focus were schools and traditional councils and imbizos. The messages during the campaign were focusing on promoting health standards during the initiation period, pre-screening before undergoing the initiation, the role of parents and the rite of passage. Key to the message was the drinking of water, as most causes of death were related to dehydration. The Eastern Cape House of Traditional and Quest leaders also procured airtime in both from ONN and community radio stations, where messages on the above factors were played on the radio before the start, during the season, with the sole purpose of keeping members of the society aware of the expected behavior when it comes to initiation. Advocacies, we are still continuing with it. These coupled with the adverts were the interviews where the chairperson of the house deliberated on the process to be followed when parents were taking their children for initiation. The chairperson also, in his interviews, made a call to the traditional leaders to play a significant role as custodians of tradition, culture, and custom to monitor customary male initiation in their constituencies. Chairperson, these are the district municipalities that we have in the Eastern Cape. I can safely say, Chairperson, all the district municipalities in the Eastern Cape played a significant role in supporting the customary male initiation season. Those district municipalities are also supported by the government departments, the NGOs, in the form of district initiation fora and the local initiation fora. In Amatole, we have Umpashe, Amahlati, Ngoma, Raymond, Mhlaba, and in the district, all these local municipalities had local initiation fora, and in Amatole, all the local initiation fora at least were led by the traditional leader. And it's worth mentioning that the speaker at Amatole was visible in most of the areas where initiation was taking place, supporting the teams. The awareness campaigns were also conducted there. The same chairperson in the Alfreds. So Alfreds was got Umzimvubu local municipality in Tabankulu, Winit Matigizela Mandela, and Matatiel. We can safely say even that the district initiation is very much active, but the challenge with that district initiation for the traditional leaders are not fully involved. All local municipalities have active initiation fora, but in Mzimvubu, also they've got a problem of traditional leaders being not involved. The initiation working committees are active there. Even there, the support from the Department of Health, Education, Social Development is available. But in Mount Elif, we had a problem with the official from DSD, that is Department of Social Development. SAPS is always available. Provincial House of Traditional Leaders and NGOs are also there. Even there, with the awareness campaigns were conducted. There was even a NGO called the Man Boy Foundation, which also availed slots for the talks about safe customary mail initiation. The district also, amongst the highlights, was the fact that they hosted a prayer day in partnership with district municipality to pray for the safe customary mail initiation. Even there, the chairperson, the support was provided by the department in the form of vehicles, by the Department of Health, one bag from the municipality. The municipality, they also activated an F center at the Disaster Management Center. There was also a 4x4 bag for monitoring from Ndabankulu, from another one from Mzimvubu. The House of Traditional Leaders also provided airtime there. In Buffalo City, chairperson, in Buffalo City, we've got the active areas, it's East London and King Williamstown. Even there, the District Initiation Forum is active and it's led by the traditional leader. In Buffalo City, there's one coordinating committee which includes Office of the Speaker, the traditional leaders, ward committees, and is chaired by Chief Whip of the traditional leaders. Even the government departments are also assisting, that the Department of Health, Department of Education, Social Development, SAPS, Provincial House, and the local house, and the NGOs. The 2 double cab baggies were hired by the Metro to support the initiation. Catering was provided for the monitoring teams, protective clothing. The Department of Health provided support with 7 professional nurses and 3 vehicles. Local House of Traditional Leaders supported as well as with personnel and vehicles. And NGO there that is operating is a PSI supported by ICAMVA. Coming to Ikrisan has got Insika yethu eMalahleni, Inqoba yeThemba, Enoch Mgijima, Sakhi Sizwe, and Inqobo, which is now also known as AP local municipality. The district forum, even there, it's active and it's led by a traditional leader. The only area that has got a forum that is not fully functional there is Enoch Mgijima. Even there, all the departments, as mentioned previously, are active. The 5 baggies were provided by the Department of Health. COCTA provided 2 vehicles for monitoring. Department of Social Development provided transport and Enoch Mgijima for monitoring teams. Department of Education provided transport and Inqobo for monitoring teams. The House of Traditional Leaders also provided airtime for the teams. Even there, the awareness campaigns were conducted. Even the District Initiation Forum was convened to check the state of readiness in November. In Job chairperson, we've got 3 district local municipalities, the same local municipalities, Walter Sisulu and Elundini. Even there, the District Initiation Forum is active, led by a traditional leader. We've got a challenge at same local municipalities. Elundini Local Forum is chaired by traditional leaders. Walter Sisulu Forum is not active, only initiation committees there are active. Same departments as mentioned previously, the Department of Health, Education, Social Development, SAPS, Local House and Provincial House are active. 4 double cab baggies were provided by the Department of Health, 2 vehicles from Right to Care and airtime from the Provincial House. The awareness campaigns were convened. The communication on the early opening of the season was done through the District Initiation Forum meeting held on the following days in September and November. Awareness campaigns were conducted through the radio slots, the Tagalani and LAFM radio. Job Kabi District Municipality Facebook page was also used, and they also developed a poster. The District Initiation Forum group was also used to further communicate initiation messages. And the meetings as mentioned below were also held to propagate the message on the opening of the initiation season. Coming to Nelson Mandela Nelson Mandela Metro has got 3 areas of operation, that is Ikabeja, Itispech, and Ikareja. The forum at Nelson Mandela Metro comprises of various government departments, NGOs, community leaders, elders, and the municipality. The Standing Initiation Forum continues to host weekly touch-based meetings. They intervene to resolve conflicts when they are required. The forum continues to play a liaison role between the department and traditional sessions. Same departments are also active in Nelson Mandela, except that in Nelson Mandela, they do not have the NGOs that are supporting the initiation, like Your Right to Care and PSI, but they do have their local NGOs that are assisting them, more special on advocacy. 3 WCAP buggies were provided by the Department of Health. The municipality provided 3 buggies and a minibus from the metro that was being used by the members of the forum. They also provide water, that is the metro, and also provide sampling equipment for the water, because they believe that some of the challenges of initiates are the waterborne challenges. Water management unit cleared the identified initiation sites, and also they provided printing of identification cards for the activists, more especially in Namakangata. The House of Traditional Leaders also provided a time for the monitoring teams. They had interventions. They had interventions before winter, like visiting the school. Also interventions during, I'm sorry, that should be summer, sorry, Chairperson. And they also have interventions during the season, that is for bush trekking. And they also have interventions after the programs of Ukuyala Kwamakwala. And then coming to our Tambo consists of 5 local municipalities. That is the KSD, Umhlonyandeni, Port St. John's, and Imuza. The District Initiation Forum is active and is led by a traditional leader. All local initiation fora in our Tambo are active. In our Tambo, again, all the departments that are responsible, your health, education, social development, subs, local house, and the provincial house were active during the season. The support that was provided by the government departments, Department of Health provided 9 buggies and 12 professional male nurses. This season, the district did not allocate vehicles due to a leadership problem that was associated with the initiation forum. Usually what they do every season, they allocate the district a buggy that will be used by a district initiation forum member to each local municipality, but this was not done this season. The district also provided virtual links for holding of weekly monitoring meetings. 1 vehicle was provided by Nyandeni district, 1 vehicle from Tonto, 1 vehicle was also provided by PSJ, that is Port St. John's, and was a local municipality availed 2 vehicles. KSD availed 2 vehicles, Right to Care availed 5 WCAP buggies and 2 professional male nurses and 1 clinician in each local municipality. In our Tambo, it was only Nyandeni that we can say conducted fully comprehensive awareness campaigns, both at Nyande, at Naileni, and Elibode. Their campaign started on the 13th, and during the campaign, 6 junior secondary schools and 13 traditional leaders were visited. Coming to Sarah Parkman has got Blue Crane, Bears, Nodia, Kokama, Magama, Zambe, and Sundays River. District and local initiation forum are headed by speakers of the council. The same government departments are in operation there, except the Department of Social Development. They also got a local NGO that is called Saka Amadoda. In Sarabarman, 1 WCAP bike was provided by the Department of Health. All local municipalities dedicated vehicles for initiation matters. Venues were provided by local municipalities and refreshment for local initiation forum meetings. They conducted awareness campaigns on community radio stations and loud hailing, including visits to schools. Community and school awareness campaigns were conducted before the start of the season, throughout the summer season. Ward councillors and assisted during the registration and screening. Water was provided throughout the initiation season to all areas, and regular water sampling and testing was done. SAP had a regular visitation to most legal sites, furthermore working with the communities on forums and clamping illegal initiation sites. And then now, Chairperson, we are coming to the intervention by government departments, starting with the Department of Health. I can summarize it by saying, Chairperson, 45 vehicles were hired by the Department of Health, and nurses that were contracted by the Department of Health were 52. And then when we talk of nurses, we are talking of professional male nurses. When it comes to admissions, in total, if I can just go to the last slide, Chairperson, I'll come back. We had 142 hospital admissions. We're having the highest number in OR Tambo, followed by Krisani. Yeah. But in total, these were the numbers that we have. But if you look at all those hospital admissions, if I can just sample from Amatole, main reason for admissions are septic circumcision, gangrene, signs of dehydration. In some cases, the cases of assault. Take for instance, in Joburg, we had one who had burn wounds. But mainly the key problem is it's septic circumcision, gangrene, and dehydration. Resource allocations by the Department of Cooperative, 12 vehicles from traditional affairs regional offices were allocated to the district's initiation fora in Alfred, Nzomatole, Chris, and Joburg, and OR Tambo. The House deployed 19 male members of the House for 5 days to join the local initiation fora. 7 male officials supported the male traditional leaders for a period of 5 days. The official beefed up the mobility of monitoring teams during the season, as there was a challenge with transport. To ease communication amongst the monitoring teams, the House provided members of the local initiation fora with an airtime to the value of 40,000, as it was indicated in the previous slides. We've got Right to Care as an NGO. Right to Care assisted extensively on the process of pre-screening, and they also assisted with the training of Ingcibinama Kangata. They also assisted with the procurement of the slots from Umhlobo Wenene that was used by the House of Traditional Leaders. They provided 7 vehicles for Matole, 4 vehicles for Alfredo, and 5 for OR Tambo. And they also provided clinical staff that is in the form of professional male nurses. They also provided water, the water that was being distributed during the monitoring. Another NGO that we are working with is the Population Service International, known as PSI, in Krisani. They are operating in Krisani and BCM. They provided 4 vehicles in Krisani, provided protective clothing and sanitizers, waters, and torches. They provided 4 nurses and 4 data entry clerks. They also provided 1 clinical associate. In the BCM, they provided 4 vehicles, again, protective clothing and PPE. They provided 6 nurses, 4 data entry clerks, and 1 medical officer. Further, they also provided radio slots in Krisani to the Vugani FM radio. In BCM, they didn't provide any. They also provided airtime for both districts. They provided catering for the monitoring teams in both districts. They also provided customary mail initiation registers that were used during the pre-screening registration. Chairperson, I think this is the most important slide, which explain almost everything that takes place. If you look at this slide, it gives you the number of boys that were screened in legal schools and illegal schools. Those were hospitalized, number of arrests. Chairperson, for the sake of time, I think allow me, if possible, just to go to totals. Can I do that with your permission, Chairperson?
Yes, allowed.
Thank you, Chairperson. The number of boys screened during this season were 46,850. The legal schools that were visited were 19,670. Illegal schools were 405. Legal initiates were 49,881. Illegal 1,230. The total of initiates that we had in the province was 51,601. Initiates that were treated on spot, those that were where there was an intervention by the monitoring team with our professional nurses, and that didn't go to hospital and so on, were 3,022. Hospital admission, as I've indicated, it's 142. There were 11 arrests. We had 10 amputations. We had 15 cases of assault, and then we had 23 deaths, with OR Tambo having the highest number of 11. Chairperson, this is the repetition of what I've just said, but now it's per district. For example, in PCM, we have 2 from Tanzania and Berlin. OR Tambo, that 11, it's coming from almost all the LMs from OR Tambo, but with Imuza having the highest number. But Chairperson, there's something that I would love us to note. If you remember from the previous reports, Inyandeni used to have the highest number. Last season, there was no death at Inyandeni, and now we had 1 death, which is also a problem. We acknowledge that. But the fact that they have increased their advocacy there, I think it's yielding good fruits. I think that we need to note. In Raymond Mhlaba, and in Amatole, we have 2, that is Raymond Mhlaba and Mbashe. Alfred Nzo, we had 5, as I've said, that it had the highest number, and then in Christiani, we have 3. It's totals back to that 23. But again, even though I was saying Alfred Nzo has got the highest number, we must also remember, Chairperson, that there were those 2 initiates that drowned Mzimvubu. So it accounts for that in that 5. And then these are the cases that were opened by SAPS in relation to 23 deaths. They are all inquest cases. I think we've got members from SAPS here, maybe they'll explain on that. But these are the cases that were open. And then again, we've got cases that were open in relation to illegal initiation activities. These are the cases, Chairperson. I think at the end, we'll see exactly what is the number for each. This is the summary of the cases, Chairperson. Total number of cases that were opened were 50. We've got, in terms of inquest, we've got 22. I'm sure there's still a case missing that they have not registered yet. Hence, they've registered 22 cases of inquest. And then in number of assaults, they haven't opened any case yet, even though we've got those cases. And then cases related to unlawful circumcision, it's 28 cases. And then in the intervention by the Department of Education, Chairperson, there's a good intervention that they have introduced. They've got a problem that is called keeping boys in school monitors. Those boys are assisting even before the initiation season by allowing the monitoring teams to access schools for advocacy, and they also assist during the monitoring, and they even assist post-initiation season by looking into the wellness of the boys who are already at school. And they also assist in identifying the boys that will be going to initiation. This is the spread of the monitors that they've provided. But again, Chairperson, they've also got some programs in the form of imbizos that are taking place. They call them boys camps. If I can just mention the few, the department has embarked on a program called Amakwala Camp that deal with boys, prayer, and post-initiation. As I've indicated, the following camps were convened in preparation for summer season in Fish River Camp, Nelson Mandela Bay, focusing on boys prior undergoing initiation. The department is proposing a camp for all boys that are in the form of school, that are from initiation school in summer and winter, in order to make them ambassadors in their respective institutions for proper discipline and respect. Motuha administrative area is a proposed venue for the whole province. The department is in touch with local municipalities and is working closely with Unkosi Ujogisilo Kamenziwa. The proposed date will be announced. The camp will be held at Mbasha local municipality, where they will concentrate on boys before going into initiation under the Prince Khandisi. The theme of their intervention is called Build a Proper Manhood and a Caring Society. The game changer in Donindoda, Yokobo Emadodin. And then we've got the Department of Social Development. Mainly the Department of Social Development chairperson, it's providing psychosocial support. Mainly they focus on post-intervention when there's a need for psychosocial support where there are deaths. For instance, they've intervened in PCM in Tanzania and in Dabozuko, which is now Berlin. They also participated in activities in Kabech and Kareha, where they were doing awareness campaigns. They also, in Makana, there was no challenge. The reason in Makana, chairperson, that maybe there was no challenge that was reported. Isara Partman, as a district municipalities, it's one good example in the province. It's one municipality that has never reported any death. In Walter Sisulu, they also made some intervention in Alwal North, where they provided counseling services for an traditional nurse who went missing and was found floating in the river, having passed on. Department of Sports, Recreation, Arts and Culture, chairperson, it's still not yet on board. Even what they are saying here, they are still planning to get involved, planning to do dialogues and working and collaborating with PICCs and role players. So there's still what they are going to do in future as part of driving their social cohesion and nation building programs. Chairperson, coming to the key challenges and proposed recommendations. We have identified the health screening of boys as the key challenges. You are saying that there are no forms for recording and screening of screening results. This has resulted in the community leaders producing stationery and selling the medical pre-screening documents. And sometimes we find that the boys are refusing to be screened by female nurses. What the Department of Health is saying, sometimes they run short of staff to do pre-screening. And the feeling is that the pre-screening is just to check the medical condition. It's got nothing to do with circumcision or initiation, but it's a process which acts just as a precursor to the program. But where possible, we always advocate that the male nurses were available, they must do pre-screening, but when there's a shortage of staff, even the female nurses get involved. We are recommending the availability of stationery from the Department of Health in the form of health cards instead of using the form, so that it cannot be reproduced and such to be produced to be in compliance with for the purpose. There's also something that is called youth zones in the health centers. We also recommend that it be used for pre-screening. They be used for pre-screening too. Lack of resources for proper communication in the initiation process and regulations. By saying we need to develop a comprehensive communication strategy and a season-specific plans, and an allocation of budget for implementation of communication strategy plan and intensive advocacy session for communities, youth in and out of school, traditional leaders and traditional session, funding to establish a call center with a toll-free number to report illegal initiation practice and for information regarding initiation. I think, Chairperson, This is what really we are calling for, and it needs some resources to be able to implement. We're trying to talk with our partners in the form of NGOs to see if we cannot work vigorously on this, probably even NIOC and the National Office to assist in the resourcing of this. Traditional surgeons and nurses not properly capacitated to perform and manage circumcision, urgent capacitation of traditional surgeons and nurses to perform safe circumcision. Even though we are using the NGOs to do this, but we are not getting the full number to be able to capacitate all of them. Initiation monitoring teams are not properly resourced and capacitated. We need to enhance the functioning of initiation monitoring teams by providing more healthcare professionals to be part of the monitoring teams, provision of vehicles for initiation monitoring teams to be able to visit sites, monitoring teams to have essential consumables, commodities for administration should there be a challenge experienced during the monitoring visits. Parental negligence and non-adherence to government regulations, that is illegal initiation, non-adherence to the minimum number of days to be spent in initiation school as stipulated in the legislation, which is 21 days, provision of required documentation for admission to initiation school, parents not disclosing boys' chronic illness and not providing medication to initiates. Robust advocacy as a recommendation, or recommending a robust advocacy session focusing on communities, parents, youth, leaders, traditional surgeons and nurses on initiation regulations, roles and their responsibilities, consequences in terms of criminal justice processes. Penile reconstruction program at PUSO and Nelson Mandela Academic Hospital not fully functional as there is a long list of amputees waiting for reconstruction. Funding of the program is of utmost importance, that is medical specialists and consumables. Increased number of initiates presenting with substance abuse withdrawals, sexual transmitted disease, and kidney problems. Pre-screening to be comprehensive and inclusive of drug test, amendments of regulations to include drug screening so as to be able to enforce such provisions and availability of water in initiation school and ensuring that initiates are hydrated. Chairperson, I can just on this one indicate that we had a problem of initiates that reported to be missing. But in the true sense of the word, when those initiations were found or located and then we interacted with their traditional nurses, we found that it's not that they were missing, but it's because of the withdrawal symptoms to the substances that they were using. And then now they try to run away so that they can be able to get a fix on the drugs that they were using. Hence, we are saying, now we need also to do a pre-screening and a test for drug addiction before they get in there, because when they are there and then they are not getting their drugs, they tend to have those withdrawal symptoms. And that creates problem even for the traditional nurses because they tend to misbehave and want to go and get whatever they are used to. And then increased number of illegal initiation school, implementation of the CGE report findings, identification of legal traditional surgeons and nurses, safety of initiation monitoring teams, serves to ensure safety of initiation monitoring teams, poor nutrition for initiation schools, awareness session for communities, parents and traditional nurses on proper nutrition. In conclusions, Chairperson was saying the province of the Eastern Cape enrolled 51,601 boys for 2022 summer initiation season. In that, 23 initiation lost their life. The figure was higher than the previous winter season, where we had 10,794 boys who underwent initiation and 11 initiates lost their lives. Out of 23 initiations who passed on, our Tambo district recorded the highest number of 11 initiates. There's still a need for more advocacy for safe customary male initiation, as there are still some cases of illegal initiation. Advocacy also needs to focus on the impact of drug abuse, as it has been discovered that some of the challenges taking place in initiation schools are related to the drug, to the abuse even prior the initiation undergo the initiation process. The support provided by the NGOs is acknowledged as they provide much needed resources to support the initiation program. COCTA should support the initiation program by allocating budget to it, as this program, which is our pride and heritage, is the responsibility of this department. I thank you, Chairperson. That is the end of it.
Thank you very much. We will not allow additions for now. As you were calling, those who would have added would be responding to questions from the honorable members. And so we'll allow that at that stage. Let me first, when I said I wanted to follow protocol, we should have started with the deputy minister, because actually as the portfolio committee, the first people we should be asking questions from is the minister and her deputies. So we should have asked the deputy minister, and when I wanted apologies, the intention was also to say the MEC from the Eastern Cape, but because we wanted to focus on the Eastern Cape, hence we started, and I had to indicate to the deputy minister that before we allow NIOC, which actually reports to them, then we'll allow the deputy minister to start. I can see your hand, Honorable Chaba. So I'll come to it first before I allow, but I just wanted to apologize for the twist. Actually, I engaged the officials from our committee about NIOC and Eastern Cape, which one should come first. If we were to start with NIOC, we should have been reminded to start with the deputy minister. Honorable Chaba, you wanted to come before we allow the deputy minister to come in?
No, you can allow the deputy minister. Chair, I was thinking that you are saying we must engage. Thank you.
No. Honorable deputy minister, sorry for the twist. Can we allow you to come in?
Greetings, Chair.
Yes.
PM is going to join now. He's just taking a call from the minister.
Oh, he's taking a call. Okay.
Yes, yeah. Thank you, Chair.
Can we hear the call?
Yeah, he's just stepped out.
He has stepped out.
Yes, yeah, he's just about to take a call from the minister.
Okay.
Thank you,
now, yeah, no, it's fine. Honorable members, the order would be like that. It would be the deputy minister. Then after the deputy minister, it would be NIOC. And then we will allow members to come in and engage with the presentation.
Thank you, Chair.
Okay.
Chairperson.
Honorable Mkhaliphi.
So we are waiting for a deputy minister who's taking a call, and the whole committee must wait for him to finish with the call. And we call this is a committee meeting of parliament.
I hear you, Honorable Mkhaliphi. Maybe let's think of what we should be doing. Start engaging with the presentation.
Yeah.
has made.
Chair, proceed. We can't allow this thing. This is totally out of order, Chair. Please.
And can I take your hands then so that we wait doing something? I start with Honorable Kabanchaba, then Honorable Teza. That's number 2. Can we start with that, Honorable Kabanchaba?
Thank you, Chairperson. Greeting to my colleagues and the presenters. Greeting to all the members who are attending this committee, including the chiefs, Amakosi. Chair, my question is the issues of initiation. Honorable Chairperson, the Portfolio Committee previously recommended that the National Initiation Oversight Committee must follow up on its commitment to convene a dedicated team to monitor parents in terms of fulfilling their responsibility in line with the Section 222 of the Customary Initiation Act. My question, Chair, what progress has been made in this regard? Chairperson, how far is the process of visiting the composition of the Provincial Initiation Coordinating Committees to ensure that they are constituted by relevant personnel who are available to attend the initiation relevant matters? What is the current status of the bill to harmonize the provincial legislature on customary initiation with the National Customary Initiation Act? I thank you, Chair.
Honorable Teza.
No, thank you very much. Greetings to colleagues. And first, Chair, is the preamble of the Initiation Act, which provides for, amongst others, the right to life, the right to bodily and psychological integrity, the rights of persons to join and maintain cultural association, and the rights of children to be protected from maltreatment, abuse, and degradation. So our questions, Chair, will basically probe on these rights, Chair, and the rights that are enshrined in the Children's Act in terms of what it is. Chair, the first being amongst the questions that I have is the issue of the escalated deaths. I'm sorry about the noise outside. The escalated deaths from the last season when we went to the Eastern Cape, that the province now is sitting at 23 deaths, and which for me it's not sitting very comfortably, Chair. I want to ask, what is the effectiveness of these local forums in terms of ensuring the preemptive nature of ensuring that they lessen the number of illegal illegal schools in the Eastern Cape. Secondly, Chair, there in slide 6, it speaks to the provision of section 27 of the Customary Initiation Act number 2 of 2001. The screening centers for prospective initiates, promotion of health standards. Whether did they provide reading material, that is something that we asked previously when they came here, because they are saying that Nyande, their advocacy level has been raised and such that it has reduced the number of deaths. So what have they done there? Then you move to slide 17, Chair. You look at the hotspots, or Tambo there with 47, and Nelson Mandela Bay at 625, Matole 23, and so on, that are hospitalized on various causes. What reducting strategy is the department having in place in terms of the reduction of such hospitalization to clamp on prevention more than cure, Chairperson, of those diseases that emanate as a result? Some are dehydration, and we are not told as to how many Jojo tanks were procured for this process. That's on slide 17. And then on slide 21, Chair, we are told about 1.5 million, which was dedicated to be used by the Provincial House on rolling out safe customary mail messages. We just want a breakdown. What is the nature of the breakdown of such expenditure to the tune of 1.5 million? Because we're not told how it is broken down. Slide 22 speaks to the resource allocation by the NPOs and Population Service International. Can you explicate the procurement cost needed that is mentioned there? Then slide 25, the debt stats there, the province being showing that it's higher than the previous. I have mentioned that one. I'm worried about the inquest, Chair, because when I went for the word inquest, it meant that those cases that are still under judicial inquiry to ascertain the fact relating to the incidents, whether there is internal capacity to realize justice for the affected families. Because in a lot of instances, Chair, cases are reported or even arrests are made by the police. But when it comes to the police statements, the quality of the police statements, it gets rejected in court. To what extent have they developed the capacity of police to report properly so that the cases of abuse, of death, the cases of maltreatment find expression at a justice level, so that we realize consequence management, we realize arrest where it's due. How will the intervention of police cure this problem? So in slide 30 to 33, police intervention, unlawful circumcision, would also speak to that question of justice that I've just raised before. The other, in slide 34, again, Chairperson, unlawful circumcision, number of arrests. Do the police need more or a unit that is dedicated, or they are going to say that this is a seasonal issue? Because if they would say in their response it's a seasonal issue, it would mean that we are going to sit here again in another report, in another season, and we are going to receive another number of inquests or cases and cases that are not resolved. So how do they focus on that particular quality of reports, quality of cases that should be reported and resolved there, Chair? Do they need a unit dedicated to this? Because it comes seasonally, it doesn't stop, Chair. Then how much was spent on Buffalo City Metro? They said they have hired 2 double buggies for supporting the initiates, catering for the monitoring teams. But we are not told how it costed the Metro. So we need the cost breakdown there. Section 28(3)(a) also speaks to the age limit between 16 and 17, Chair. I mean, and 18, Chair. And I'm sure it speaks to that because, I mean, children are not yet at a position when they can make informed decisions and taken through the practice and psychologically, emotionally, physically, that they get to prepare where they're going in terms of that. May not attend initiation, but we're not getting in this report as to how many did we have this season under review. Chair, the last one will be to the DG of Traditional Affairs. What support is department given to reduce the deaths in the Eastern Cape, the injuries, and save lives that is common in initiation schools, to ensure that the NIOC's effectiveness to oversee on parents' involvement, consent before initiation could attend school, overcrowding, ensure that municipalities operate effectively, effectiveness of regulations to reduce deaths, ensure the sex offenders are not part and identified and are not part of this practice, as it were. That the initiation process do not contravene the alignment of the CIA, do not contravene the Children's Act. How far is the investigation relating to the issue of circumcision, illegal circumcision in Kuzele? That is for now the DG of Traditional Affairs. 45 vehicles were hired by the Department of Health. How much, again, Chair, did it cost the department? Which company were they hired from? I'll stop there, Chair. Thank you very much.
Honorable Mbumza.
Thanks, Chairperson, and good morning to you, Chair, honorable members, and the Deputy Minister, as well as our traditional leaders, and as well as the National Coordinating Committee. Chair, allow me not to open up my camera in view of the fact that the network is very unstable. Chair, the first Chair, let's welcome this detailed report by the PICC. And My first question, Chair, whilst welcoming it, we must also commend the work of the district and the local fora in OR Tambo, particularly in Nyandini. And it indicates here that the work of the local advocates in cooperation with the district and that of the province has done some tremendous work in Nyandini, which brought about this radical behavior change. And indeed, if we could do our work in this way, I think that, and also copy from Nyandini, we think that we will actually indeed, given that the committee had made a recommendation to the National Oversight Committee, the National Initiation Oversight Committee, to actually follow up with their dedicated team to monitor parents, to ensure that they are indeed fulfilling their responsibility in line with Section 222 of the Customary Initiation Act. However, could we be informed by the National Initiation Oversight Committee as to have they adequately raised their dedicating team to actually do its work? Because we can't. If then they have actually carried out that work, that the report would be indicating that parental negligence is one of the huge contributing factor to the challenges that the Customary Act actually confronts. Again, Chair, the report indicates that as far as related to Umzivubu, that traditional leaders are not participating in the local fora in that particular local municipality in the district of Alfredo. Could we be appraised as to what are the reasons perhaps for traditional leaders not to participate? Because they are the custodian of this particular, in terms of the act of this work. Thanks, Chair, for the moment.
Honorable Opperman.
Good morning, Chairperson, colleagues. Chairperson, I'd like to know, despite the reportedly rigorous pre-screening process, many underage initiates were still committed in the winter intake of 2022, and the number of illegal initiation schools are still increasing, almost overtaking the legal schools. I want to know, why is this phenomena the case? And municipalities at a local level should have a dedicated budget and the personnel at a local level to coordinate the initiation program. I want to know, why are the Enoch Majimba not getting support from the local municipality? And why are the Inzimvubu traditional leaders not involved in their local initiation fora? And then the budget for initiation programs lies at a provincial level. So I want to know what plans are in place to ensure that the tools of trade and staffing are there for local houses in the Eastern Cape. And I want to know, what are the current budget for the initiation program in the Eastern Cape, and do they have the financial means to implement a dedicated initiation unit in the province? If not, what will be the role and responsibility of COCTA nationally? And I'd seriously like to know, what happened to the 35 destitute initiates in Nelson Mandela Metro? What help did these children receive, and from whom, and where are they right now? And also it was found that the Kuzile-Libodi site was not fit for human habitation. And yet a lot of underage children were committed there. I want to know, do you have any details of the status of that investigation? Thank you. That's all for now.
Thank you, Honorable Space.
Chairperson, I'm partly covered by my colleagues, so mine is particular with reference to page 25, and page 25 refers to the interventions made by SAPS, and what is concerning, Chair, is that there's about 50 cases that was opened, but only 10 arrests being made, and I would like to know and have an understanding of what are the particular challenges in concluding these arrests, because it is of a concern that, that illegal circumcisions took place. There are people who need to be held accountable, but it doesn't look like if there is really much progress in that regard. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Mkhaliphi.
Thank you very much, Chair. I think I'm partly covered from my colleagues. But my question is, I have only one question, Chair, pertaining the Eastern Cape, and is only about asking if the committee is having a plans, because if you see this, if you check on their presentation, the statistics on illegal initiate schools is very high. And then now my problem is that if you are going to continue receiving presentation which does not talk exactly what is the plan, is the I mean, we are approaching winter now. Are they having a proper plan to ensure that no one will die this time? And I know Guti, the committee must also work, or they must also take into consideration that there's an act that's supposed to give them direction. But if it's Kuluma njengabahlali, Chairperson, not as members of parliament, not as a committee that is working under the legislation that is provided by law in South Africa, there are so many things that needs to be done, Chair, especially ukukhuluma nje nabahlali, ukukhuluma nomama beyingane Eastern Cape, usibatshele ukuthi thina njengecommittee eligunyazwe na uhulumende, sidinga even ne-support yenu njengabazali ukuthi musani ukuthatha izingane niyize
Honorable Mkhaliphi.
In this time, because because if you see on their presentation, Chairperson, they even said here the number of arrests is only 10, and they also have some amputations, which is 10. Akekho umzali ofuna ukuthi ingane yakhe izifike kuleso sigaba la kuthiwa khona ziyafa ingane and they go, and then there's a death, and then the death that is also recorded here is 23. One child nje is also a trauma. Akekho umzali ofuna. Ngifuna ukubuza nje ukuthi amanye ama-programs as a committee, I know for the fact ukuthi they are going to say that yes, we do want to engage with our communities. We do want to talk to our communities to prevent such deaths during this initiating what school, but we don't have tools of trade. Maybe also the department must also come clear and then also update the committee in terms of addressing the issues of tool of trade in order for them as traditional leadership can go and have work in order to prevent such things to happen in the Eastern Cape, also in other parts of the provinces like Free State and so forth and so forth. But sizuma in Eastern Cape ngoba ila ne committee yeparlamente ivakashele khona, and also Eastern Cape yona enama numbers athe xaxa. That's why sifuna ukwazi ukuthi are you ready now to ensure ukuthi there's no one who's going to die this time? Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you very much. Honorable members, the questions that were directed to the DG and the National Department, I would say for now, let's not respond to them until we have allowed the Deputy Minister and NIOC to present maybe out of their presentation, they would respond to such questions. I asked for a question if the DM is already around, but I think we would allow the Eastern Cape to respond to the questions that have been raised. We'll come later, but I'm saying let's for now not expect responses from the national department until they have made a presentation. Can we allow you, Eastern Cape, to respond to the questions that have been raised? Chairperson, for now, I'll stick with you. You'll decide who comes in when.
Thank you, Chair. I think the questions, they are taking different components that need to respond to. I would want to say subs maybe will come in, but also some are referred directly to the department. But as the committee, we have continued and we are still going to continue to do the campaigns that have shown that better results could be realized when we exert some efforts in bringing awareness in the areas, and also caution parents, or else bring awareness strongly to the parents in terms of taking responsibility for their children, in terms of not abandoning them to people that they do not know, or even if they know them, but they have continuous updates and even visit the areas that their children are. I understand the question of the illegal initiates. Well, the question of the illegal initiate, it's a problem. It's a problem to everybody, because once it is illegal, it means it has not gone through the proper channels, and it is intended to be hidden from the people that are supposed to take responsibility or as to assist. So therefore, I want to not hide it from the committee and whomever is there as human beings. This thing of illegal, it's going to be there, and we are going to continue fighting it, because these boys, they just hide themselves. And it also happens because some parents, they don't take that responsibility, that they are strict on their children, that they must go through this. So, but I would want to give to subs and the department to also come in terms of taking the questions that have been posed directly to them. I'm done, Chair.
Yes, I'm waiting for, I don't know which department. For now, we're focusing on the Eastern Cape. And South Eastern Cape. Stofile, I see your hand.
Sir. Good afternoon, sir.
Yes.
Good afternoon. I'm Captain Koti. I'm Captain Koti from
Okay.
SABS.
Yes.
Good afternoon, sir. I was trying to get in, but there's a problem in my phone. I want to highlight the intervention of SABS or role of SABS regarding of the questions or answers the questions. The question which I concern is the challenge. First of all, SABS conducted awarenesses to the community at school as well. Holding meetings with regional leaders. Responsibility. It's got a responsibility to make sure that the act is adherence by the people. The people must comply with the act. All case docket was registered with some still under investigation and pending finalization in court. The arrests were made as and consequently so alluded. There were 10 arrests for the people. Concerning our challenges, most challenges, the victims, they are not disclosing. They're not disclosing the perpetrators. Some of the perpetrators were ran away from the places where we can get them. Another problem we received, sir, the failure of the parents to follow the proper procedure in terms of the Constitution Act number 2 of 2021. They are not cooperating at all, some of the parents. For instance, there we've got a case there, whereby the parents was told by the doctor mustn't take the children to the traditional schools, but they forced them together with the surgeons. But we are on the way to deal it because the case is still in court. Another challenge we received is that of centralization of the ritual, whereby the parents put the date first before before we communicate with the traditional surgeons. That's why that was to say some of the children that they are not escaping at all because of that they are not ready to go home, to run away, to go home. They are ready, they are not ready. Another more challenge is the unregistered traditional surgeons. If these people who call them must come to register, they run away because they know they are not registered. Some people they hide the traditional schools. Yeah, that I mean the traditional hearts, very far for the people. It is not accessible. Even in our police, when we check there, there's no way to go to that traditional school. So there's a problem. I think it's a major one because this traditional nurses is not medical treatment or drinking water. There's a result of that is dehydration. I think that proposal of that unit, it will help us much better than this one with policy. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you, Mr. Stoffele.
Thank you, Chairperson. Chairperson, there are just some few of the questions that were raised by the members that maybe I'll respond to. The first one is the reconstitution of the PICC. Chairperson, we are in the process of doing that. We have indicated at the beginning of the season that we've taken that decision, and that was endorsed by the current PICC, that we need to restructure the PICC to be in line with the current legislation. So in that process, as far as the bill is concerned, even on that one, we're in the process. That bill was submitted to the legislature, but it was decided that it must be taken back, to the extent that our policy and legislation unit will be consulting the House of Traditional Leaders on the 2nd in relation to the bill. So it's in the process of being aligned with the National Act. In relation to the number of escalating deaths and the effective of the local initiation forum, Chairperson, we can rightfully say that our local initiation forum are effective. We have in the presentation on the number of rescued initiates and those that were taken to hospital. If we didn't have effective local initiation forum, we wouldn't be having the number of those raised, of rescued initiates. But as my chairperson has indicated, that we've got a problem of illegal initiates that we do not know about, where even amaboma are being hidden. We happen only to know about Loma Boma only when there's an incident. But where we happen to know, we quickly rush to those and do the necessary rescue. We are doing the advocacy campaign, and we cannot fully say people are aware, but we've done a lot to make people aware, as we have indicated that we're even using the radios. We do have the reading material that is provided by our partners. Take, for instance, we are also working with UNFPA. UNFPA has provided us with a lot of reading material that we have distributed to the traditional councils and the schools. In relation to the issue of Jojo tanks are provided, take for instance, in Nelson Mandela. It's easy to provide Jojo tanks in the urban areas, but it's difficult to provide Jojo tanks in the rural areas because the initiation schools are scattered all over the place. But in urban areas, they are concentrated in one place, and as such, they are provided. In relation to the issue of the costs of the cost of the BCM and the Department of Health, unfortunately, as part of our report, we didn't look into that. But if that is information that is needed, I'm sure we can provide that information. Yeah, I think in relation to the issue of traditional leaders not participating in Chairperson, if you look into one of the challenges that we've indicated, we indicated that it was the lack of participation of traditional leaders. And we have raised that with the local initiation fora and even with the members in the provincial house. That is the matter that they are looking into as to why members are not participating. And I think they are working on that. And I think Chairperson maybe can even elaborate further on that. I think that is the bite that I can take, Chairperson, from the questions. Thank you.
Okay. I see two hands. Chairperson of the PICC. Is that an old?
No, it's current. Thank you, Chair. I wanted to also add on the question of water. In the rural there, it's not really that the water is scarce. It's a deliberate situation of not drinking water because of some beliefs that if you drink water, you are going to take a long time to heal. We are working very hard to educate, bring education to the fact that water has got nothing to do with that situation. So I wanted to bring that and to make an addition to that. It's not that water is not there. Water is there, but they just don't drink it. Thank you, Chair.
Mr. Fani.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair and Honorable members. Just to get into some few questions, I think the first thing that I want to say is the commitment of the department to provide that detailed information about costs, as Mr. Stoffler have said, and submit it to the committee in all the costs associated with the questions that have been asked by the committee. The second thing that I would want to reflect on is the issue raised by the honorable member on the tools of trade for traditional leaders. We did raise this thing in a meeting of MINMEC, where minister was part of it. And we raised our difficulties, and we asked the minister, we pleaded with the minister to approach National Treasury in order for us to be allocated funding to deal with the matter. We were asked to cost, but we costed the tools of trade, and seemingly some are raising close to R1 billion and all that, and the matter is still handled with National Treasury. But in doing so, we are not waiting where we can to do some few issues to intervene when we do so, but the totality of the issue that relates to the tools of trade is handled at a national level. I think both Eastern Cape and KZN are the most affected departments because of the number of traditional leaders, and the costing was raised by both of us from KZN and the Eastern Cape. And we hope that in any funding that can be allocated, that in itself would be able to help us. The other issue that I would want to indicate is the question asked about the budget put by the department in terms of the initiation. I think this year, 2022-23, we allocated 2.4 million. And then in the next year, because of the budget cuts, we've got 2 million given to us, but we're looking that if we can be adjusted further, we'll be looking at adjusting it with 1 million because of the budget cuts owing to a number of things, solar transport and so on. And the other issue that I would want to indicate, Honorable Chair, is that this issue of us having a plan as a department that would make it a point that there are no debts. It's a matter that is very difficult. We attempt by ourselves to put mitigation measures in place. That's why in the recommendation, we are proposing certain things to be followed and to be attended to. I will make one example in terms of parents, because they are playing the major role in this. One child was screened at Mtanzane, and the parents were informed that the results are indicating that the child cannot be taken to the initiation school owing to the fact that I think his sugar levels were down. The family decided to take the child irrespective, and the boy died within 2 days, whilst they were doctor certificate. But that case now is with the police, and I think that the police are investigating the case. The other issue, which is a problem with the parents, is that although there's a stipulation in terms of how many days should the initiate stay in the initiation school, they will decide to put a date once a child is getting into the initiation school. Already there's a date of a child of Umkiti. At the same time, on the day, irrespective of whether the child is right or what, the parents will be preparing for the child to go home. So this issue of parents becomes very critical. Even if the cases are open, sometimes they will be initiated by illegal surgeons, and those surgeons, when the parents open a case and sometimes pick up the child is right, the parent will tell people and say, I'm not going to be part of that, let my child go home. I think that investment on the parents becomes a critical element, because you can realize that in terms of the segregation of the numbers, all deaths are important, whether legal or illegal. If we look at the analysis now, we have looked at on those that are legal schools, there were 12 deaths. Those that are illegal schools, there are 11 deaths. And those illegal schools, they are found by chance, because children are hidden, they're in areas that are not accessible and all that. And it's a fight that we should continue looking at it. So that's the issue that I would want to reflect on it. This issue of the age limit issue, 16 to 18, is a matter that was seriously a concern earlier on, because that was a court decision where we were told that there was a court decision, in fact, which is allowing a child, as long as there's a consent of a parent, that the child who's 16 should be a child that can be given and afforded an opportunity to go there, which it was our worry, as well as the honorable member is responding to that. We take it that issue of the initiation, it's a matter that we have to look at it. We have got I think the House is central in dealing with it, supported by all of us in the department in making a point that we do what is expected by us in terms of the work that needs to be done by the department. This issue relating to the budgets as to why municipalities do not want to budget for traditional for the initiation. That issue, I think the MEC did raise the matter with local municipalities to indicate to them that they must budget for traditional leadership. I mean, for initiation schools. And you could see the reaction there because the issue is that it's not their mandate. But the request was that at least let's set the playing fields right and assist those forums in making a point that they are able to work. I think that when that call was made in the Lekutla, we would still follow it up because, as I said, that the MEC requested local municipalities to support that, and we'll make a follow-up in making sure that at least those basic things, not the entire budget, because they will talk about that, that's not their responsibility, but those basic things of assisting the forums that are in their levels, it's a matter that we are going to persuade them going forward. I think, Chair, I will stop there and then indicate that we will submit the necessary information, which is having specifics in terms of rents and cents and the procurement and the companies, because in most instances, procurement has been done at a particular level, sometimes not done at that. We would as well look at some of the issues probably help as well. We wouldn't have cars and then decide to procure cars. We would collect that information from them and provide those to the honorable member. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you very much, honorable members. I'm trying to manage, I see whether it's historical, the hand of Honorable Mpums, but I'm trying to manage our meeting. Before I allow any follow-ups, I would plead with you to say there are questions that were directed to the department nationally. So let's take them on board by allowing the Deputy Minister to say something, and immediately after that, then we allow NIOC to make their presentation. They might as well respond to some of the questions that you raised as they present. So let's take follow-ups if there are any after those two speakers, the Deputy Minister and then NIOC make a presentation. I assume the Deputy Minister is there now. But if the Deputy Minister is not there, then we would move to...
I am here, Chairperson.
Oh, okay. Over to you, DM.
No, thank you very much, and my apology for earlier. We are appearing before SCOPA and the Minister is there. And then the DM Gadiming is in Mpumalanga for the floods. And so there was an emergency call that I had then to respond to about the situation in Mpumalanga, that she needed some kind of advice. It was not intentionally to undermine, but I did listen to the entire presentation of the Eastern Cape, including the last part where Nyandeni was mentioned, that it has overall improved. Indeed, I can confirm that, because that was the most difficult area, and praises to the Eastern Cape really to have engaged with the communities, the leadership in that area, collaboration with the civil society and NGOs that has brought that particular element. But I think the National Initiation Oversight Committee is here, led by Ngosi Mahlangu. It's newly established, though Ngosi Mahlangu is coming back still as a chairperson, so he is not new himself. But then some other members obviously have been changed, and the membership reconstituted has changed. We hope therefore that this committee will then be able then to really have an impact nationally, because their term of office was only for a year in the past term, and this time at least they are geared for a 5-year period as members of the NIOC, and then hoping therefore that the programs that they will be developing will have an impactful in really arresting the deaths and injuries within the initiation, which is our culture, our pride, but of recent, as we all have seen the statistics, there has been a lot of wrong things happening there and hijacked by those who are just making money out of it for commercial reasons. But also the illegal schools had really contributed to the lots of the deaths and the injuries. The second, I think, as it has already been indicated by the Eastern Cape, is an overall picture. It's the issue of dehydration, very much in the Eastern Cape than compared to other provinces. But Free State, when they go for summer, it also hit them. And because Free State decided to move away from the winter season and focusing more on summer because of the snow in the Drakensberg areas. And so with summer, the heat then becomes the biggest challenge, but it's a better controlled environment so long as we can ensure that water accessibility is abundant so that kids do not then dehydrate, and something that we can prevent as human beings, I think we need to encourage. And then Chair, also to then, also as we welcome the new committee to present their plans, we will also be re-looking through the department as we are still engaging towards meeting the entire officials of the department, led by the DG Dipofa, who is here. I'm just waiting for the diary of the minister to permit so that we could really begin to look at the support that we give overall. We know that provinces carry a lot of support because they have a provincial mandate themselves as provinces, but national must also ought then to begin to look at what is it that we can support in which areas, particularly the issues of awareness and publicity. And thanks to the Eastern Cape that such initiatives we have already taken with community radio stations and then some of your popular SABC radio stations like Umhlobo Wenene, which is the mostly listened channel in the Eastern Cape. We need to do that overall wherever the dominance of one of the SABC radios to be, and including the TV. And also impressed, and I think that Ngozi Matlang will also have to look at the issue of using social media, Facebook and WhatsApp, as the Eastern Cape has already indicated that it seems to be having a positive impact because young people are more on those platforms where they engage, and we need to throw in a lot of good educational piece that can be carried in some of those particular platforms, including Twitter at some point, and then how we can then nationalize that particular program so that the messaging and what we then want to say, we want to do an awareness on is similar across all provinces, then adaptive to the conditions of the provinces at that particular point. We have the police, the National Prosecuting Authority, also as part of the NIOC, and I think in the Eastern Cape, you have seen the police have spoken now. We also will be then taking their strength, and then we also have CRL, which is also part of the loan. I tried to look at whether they were invited. I don't see them in the platform, but then CRL is also a very proactive body that is part of the NIOC as part of the introduction of the NIOC. So Chair, let me allow you, through you then to invite the chair of the NIOC, who will then begin to elaborate on their plans, and we're still going to have a retreat where we're going to be finalizing a national plan that will then be presented later to say this is how in the next 5 years we'll be doing to really cap the debts and ensure that the culture we so love does not kill our children.
Over to you, Nkosi Mahlangu.
Anibulele sihlalo ngeli thuba unikeza lona. Ngibuye nikhahlele kuwe, nikhahlele kumalunga onke e-portfolio committee, and ngibuye nikhahlele kusihlalo wendlu yobuholi bendabuko ku-national, national.
It looks like we have lost the chairperson. Anybody who can take over? Nkosi Mahlangu. Okay.
Hello, Chair, am I audible?
Yes, you are now.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to say the previous term of NIOC, when it was constituted, it had a very limited time to prepare things, to engage with PICCs. Everything was just being done on a rush basis because of time. Now it is also the same, that the NIOC, its reconstitution happened when initiation season was on, because of National House's reconstitution was not on time. It was 3 months later, and it thus happened that NIOC also, its reconstitution did not took place on time. So it's been a challenge for NIOC to execute its functions properly. When the time summer season took place, it was only in December whereby NIOC was reconstituted, and everything was left to the Secretariat to receive any information regarding initiation, summer initiation season. So I'm going to give to acting DDG, because, and I forgot to put an apology for DDG Mokhaladi. She's on leave. She's part of NIOC, but I'm going to give to acting DDG Babualaza to come in and give us the brief report received from provinces. Over to you, Babualaza.
Thank you very much, Chair, and a very good morning, Honorable Chair and Honorable members, Honorable DM, the NIOC and PICC, DG and HODM colleagues. Thank you so much for the opportunity. As indicated, my name is Khanyiso Walaza. I'm asked to share the presentation on behalf of NIOC, and I'm just going to do just that, Chair, with your permission. All right, this is just a outline of the presentation. I'm going to run through the presentation very, very quick. The first part of it is just a background where that establishes NIOC, which I'm not going to go through it. Then the introduction is just to indicate that the current, as the Chair indicated, that after the re-establishment of the National House, then the NIOC was then established. And then these are the rules of what NIOC is supposed to be doing. This slide introduces the members of NIOC for the current 5-year term, Chair. And the next slide shares the status quo in as far as the work of the NIOC and PICCs are concerned. And the point was that PICCs could not be established before the completion of the constitution of the provincial houses, and the same applied at a national level. So there's it affected the constitution because it was mainly dependent on the establishment of houses. To date, out of 8 provinces that have PICCs, which is Western Cape, Gauteng, Limpopo, and Free State, Northern Cape, KwaZulu-Natal, Mpumalanga, and Northwest did not establish their PICCs, and we're excluding Eastern Cape because Eastern Cape's one was established prior and is based on their provincial legislation. If we look at the 2022 summer initiation season, which is the interest of the committee today, the chair indicated the summer initiation season started before the establishment of the 2022-2027 NIOC. So the NIOC was established after when the season was already en route. NIOC met 12 December to elect the chairperson and the deputy chairperson, and therefore then there were no plans in place that were put up to drive or be actively involved in the summer initiation season. However, the NIOC Secretariat continued to keep contact with provinces and get necessary information where possible. And the report that we're going to share with you today is the information that was received from provinces. We have a standard reporting template that we send to all the provinces, and then they give us the information. Of course, the biggest challenge is not all of them comply. Provinces have different reporting protocols. At times they report to one indicator and they don't report to the other indicator, but those are things because we're still in infant stage now that we're trying to address. NIOC met this February to draft its 5-year strategic plan and put itself ready for the upcoming winter initiation season. It's important to note, Chair, that as we present this report, KwaZulu-Natal is not included because we have not yet received inputs from KwaZulu-Natal. This is the Eastern Cape one repeat because this was already presented by the Eastern Cape. In Free State, Chair, NR stands for not reported. So what we have only received so far in Free State is that they had 8 illegal schools and they had 8 deaths that were reported. We are still awaiting the final report from the province, and the final report would include injuries, hospitalization, and arrests. In Gauteng, also the majority of the indicators were not reported. However, they received 74 applications, and out of those, they had 8 illegal schools. There were 5 deaths in Gauteng. There were 4 deaths in Gauteng, 2 for males and 1 female. And then in Limpopo, the summer season was only for female initiates, and they had received 14 applications, or they approved 14 applications, and they had the total of 3,870 initiates. Out of those, 3,448 was legal initiates, 422 was illegal initiates. That registered 0 incidents in Limpopo. In Mpumalanga, 14 applications were approved. They had 60 legal initiates and 9 illegal initiates, and they had 1 hospital admission, and they had no deaths. Northwest province, they had 231 applications received, 217 approved. They had 4,000 boys and 720 girls. There were 4 deaths in the Northwest. In Northern Cape, they received 2,181 applications. There were 6 illegal schools, 1,819 males, 466 females. They recorded 0 deaths. However, there were 1 case of assault, 1 case of amputation, and 2 hospital admissions in the Northern Cape. In the Western Cape, we the information received is that there were 26 applications received, 18 were approved, 8 were declined. It's important to note that the 8 that were declined, the main reason indicated by the province was that there was no indication of the agreement with the landowner. So based on that, the applicants not submitting agreements with the landowner, they then declined those cases. They then, most indicators were not reported from the Western Cape so far, but they had 4 deaths that occurred in the province. Importantly is that there is a serious Amahlubi case that went up in the Western Cape, and the Deputy Minister and the National House were actively involved, and they would brief the committee after I had concluded this presentation on the outcome of this particular case that happened between the Stellenbosch municipality and others. Just to conclude the provincial picture, Chair, is to indicate that these are preliminary reports. We expecting changes when we finally receive the updated reports from provinces, but at this stage we can indicate that's about 89,000 initiates that went through the season, which were male, and about just over 3,000 were females, mainly Limpopo, Northwest, and the Northern Cape. And then it is important just to indicate that the issue of the budget remains a serious issue across all the provinces in as far as monitoring and being involved in the initiation season. We've received some information from the South African Police Services on the cases. Unfortunately, it only covers 4 provinces, and this is of 16 February 2023. According to information provided in Free State, there were 9 cases. 9 cases that are currently under investigations. There were 2 suspects that are arrested. In KwaZulu-Natal, there were 0 incidents. In the Eastern Cape, we've got 50 cases registered. 22 of them are inquest and 28 are unlawful circumcision. The progress differs in each case out of those 50 cases in the Eastern Cape. And then in the Northern Cape, there are 0 cases registered. However, there were 2 initiates that were fighting with each other that caused injuries. The NIOC, as indicated, met to put together their own preliminary plans for the next 5 years, but also to prepare themselves for the winter season. And the main activities that are planned, one is to quickly engage with the PICCs so that we can establish the state of readiness and the programs for the winter season, and that's going to be happening now in the month of March. We'll also be going to be mobilizing stakeholders to contribute towards achieving the 0 death rate. So we've we've identified the role players that we need to be part of the conversation, and also to help us to make a contribution towards us achieving that 0 death rate. And they're also going to be in initiation road shows, and in particular, OR Tambo has been selected for that particular one because of the numbers that have increased in OR Tambo. So the launch of the winter season will be happening there, and then there will be a lot of engagements that are going to be happening as we bring the hype towards the winter season. But it's important to indicate that the budget for NIOC and some PICCs to operationalize their plans, it remains a critical challenge. And I mean, if the Eastern Cape were to cost the contributions from NGOs, it far outweighs what government is investing on the program. So we really need so much for us to implement this particular program and probably reach the 0 deaths. The last slide, Honorable Chair, just picked up some challenges that we think are worth bringing to the attention of the committee, and of course the issue of the arrests and prosecutions. A colleague from the SAPS spoke about earlier on, so we'll not repeat that. And the reluctance by principals of initiation schools to employ involved initiated medical doctors remains a challenge. And this is a work that requires more lobbying and advocacy. And where the schools are closed, illegal schools are closed, and there are some basics that are not being provided, we still expect a more prominent role of traditional leaders in that instance. We've seen that happening in Limpopo and in Mpumalanga, and it could be one of the good practices across the country where we see them in the lead. But we also appreciate that there are some areas that practice in customer initiation where there are no traditional leaders, and we therefore need to find another activist in that space. Of course, surgeons and caregivers not being available during the monitoring initiation school programs is also a matter that will be checked. Now, earlier on, members did ask the progress on NIOC in as far as the monitoring of parents and the outcomes of the previous engagements, as indicated, that this particular NIOC only started the work in a way in February. So when we engage the committee in the near future, we'll be able to provide concrete feedback in as far as what has been done so far, but it has been incorporated into the current plans of the next 5 years. So that as the NIOC does its work, it's then able to make sure that it takes up all the work that was asked by the honorable members of the committee. I would end there. Chair, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. I think to some extent then it responded to some of the questions that were raised before the presentation. One major response is that you are new, and so you're still collecting information. And what is also new is the National House of Traditional and Cohesion Leadership, the chairperson who introduced himself and the deputy. We are also trying to familiarize ourselves with that. Honorable members, it's your turn now. I see Honorable Mbumza, number 1. Honorable Mkhaliphi, number 2. Honorable Mbumza. Mbumza, or it's an old hand. Honorable Mkhaliphi.
Maybe he's having a network problem, Chair. Thanks, Chair. I was listening attentively from the DM. We and the last presenter, I think they are very clear to say that these preliminary reports. Maybe if I can ask on behalf of the committee chair, are we going to get an updated report after this? As I said before, Chair, that we are only concerned about the plan. We don't want any death. And I was listening to a previous respondent as well, saying that Eastern Cape, one of the difficulties is that these illegal schools are hidden. So therefore, I want to ask the Deputy Minister that in terms of the planning, as you were very eloquent, DM Papela, when you were also talking to these issues, you are well equipped, you know what we are talking about. But in terms of the plan, Chair, whether it's difficult or not difficult, we need to know even if all stakeholders, because one of the issues that we need also to understand, Chair, the department, the plan of the department now, because they must also be having a proper plan and understanding the terrain of the Eastern Cape. I think there is not for the first time that you are raising such concerns, knowing very well that they are doing all they can do to prevent the death of our kids. Doing all they can do in their powers to ensure that there is no illegal school. But if the plan is not proper, DM, we are not going to get it right. So I'm saying that there is also an intelligence in South Africa. Even if police are there as part of the committee, part of the stakeholders. So why don't the departments also involve the intelligence? Because they are there, they're using the taxpayers' money. Also to involve all stakeholders that you can think of in the Eastern Cape, your churches, your NGOs, abahlali, parents, as the DM was also alluding to the fact that they are using umhlobo wenene to ensure that there's no death. using all community radio station, everything that can help us to ensure that there's no one going to die this time. So my question, Chair, when are we going to get an updated report? Because my interest, Chair, is the plan to prevent the death and also to ensure there's no illegal school. I'll be very happy. I'll be sleeping very peaceful at night when I know, Guti, we have done all we can do as all people who are involved to prevent illegal schools, especially in the Eastern Cape. My next point, Chair, is the one that I raised earlier on, but you said you are going to talk about it. You know, I'm learning for the first time that there is also female who go to initiation school. So my point is that if we are not going to sit down with the department and to understand the department itself as committee members, how are we expected to also provide some solutions as a committee if we are also not clued up with some of the things that the department are doing? I'm hearing for the first time, and I still need to be workshopped to know if females in Limpopo are taken to initial schools, what sort of initiation schools of the females in Limpopo? Because I know for a fact in KZN, I think yona ihlukile because usiko lokuthi kuyohlolwa intombi emhlangeni, but I'm not familiar with usiko lase Limpopo. So my point, Chair, is that let us also get that strategic workshop with the department to understand our department. And when it comes to these issues that you are articulating now, which we are engaging with, of which we are worried about the usiko lase Eastern Cape, especially that involves young boys, because khona lama illegal schools. And then we can provide a clarity and we also provide the solutions as committee members. But if not, we are not equipped, how are we expected as portfolio committee members also to engage fully and participate fully? Thank you very much, Chair. Where's the Chair now? Am I cut off?
I am talking to a muted something, sorry.
Okay.
I was calling Honorable Mbumza to say if he is there or not there, then we allow DM, and I think maybe this one of the, let me try and respond to this strategic management plan session that we talked about. It was specific, it was talking to CWP. But you see, I think when we agreed on that, we didn't take into account the planning period of government. That takes us generally up to the 28th of March. I think we just agreed because there was a difficulty then. So I think we'll still have to find time to look at it. But as you are indicating, there are always developments where committee would want to be taken on board and understand. I think they have noted that. Honorable DM.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Yeah, what we'll do, as indicated, when the minister was welcoming the members of the NIOC, when they were sworn in by the judge at the time, she did indicate that there will be a workshop the first quarter of this year, and the quarter ends end of March. And the DGs here, they just have to really make sure that before the end of the March, definitely that strategic session with the NIOC members across the departments that they are part of the NIOC, the workshop will finalize the plan. I'm glad that Ngozi Mahlangu has already indicated at the secretariat level and also as leadership, they've already done some proposals. Obviously, those proposals will then be workshopped, strategized upon, and also including the costing of the entire plan of the 5 years, and then obviously the budget elements, who carries what, so that provinces will know what is it that they carry, national will know what they carry, and other departments that are part of health, and then others will also be able to indicate what is it in their own budgets so that we can then collaborate better, coordinate better, and work better within the plan that will have come from the strategy session. Obviously, once that plan has been developed, it will go through the ministerial processes, and then and once it has been approved, we'll then bring it to the committee to say, here's a final national plan, and the provinces will also have their inputs in that particular plan. And therefore, let's wait until the end of the quarter, and then we can then schedule a time when in the second quarter somewhere, we will then be able to come back to the portfolio committee. Thanks, Honorable Member Mkhaliphi, also that we need to expand also and incorporate those NGOs that are already doing some good effort and good work on the ground, whilst expanding programs of media, Abahlali and others, and that is always going to be part of engaging just not only traditional leaders, but Abahlali, the religious organizations also be included, because where you get young people and their parents is also in the churches, or in the mosque, or whatever is the form of religion that exists in those communities, so that the weight can then spread across. Indeed, we will have to look at the issue of proposing in terms of the intelligence, what is their role, and so forth, and we'll engage that in the session when we have that particular strategy workshop, and therefore, the one of Limpopo and the initiations is not only Limpopo of the female initiations, it's Limpopo, they do it, in Mpumalanga, they also do it. And as we said in KZN, you know that one better because you are from KZN, and I think Isiko Lamazulu, because most of them, they are done within the culture of that particular grouping. And then the Basotus in the Free State also, they do. So what we just have to make sure, therefore, that the banning of the vaginal mutilation in South Africa is not allowed, and so long as that is not part of that, definitely it means people have modernized, because South Africa has banned it. It's banned, it's not allowed in South Africa. And then should we find that any of the grouping is practicing it in the females, definitely we'll then deal with that. But for now, everyone understood it, that it's not allowed in South Africa, it's banned, and the police knows therefore that the enforcement of the law will be the way to go. But let's then go deeper into it without exposing the sacredness of it, and then see if indeed the wrong things are not done on the girls. As you said, they don't die, but obviously there are things that we have signed as international treaties, and we need to abide by those particular signatures. So let me stop there, Chair, and say therefore that in the second quarter somewhere, where once the plan is ready, being concluded in the first quarter, we'll come back to the portfolio committee. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think for now, we should be comfortable with the information that has been shared, and also indications that would need more information, and the commitment to say, yes, there will be final reports coming. I was now going to allow, maybe let's start with the Inkosu Gwadiso, then follow with Inkosu Mashangu. If there are any comments, then DM will close from that side. Inkosu Gwadiso.
Thank you, Chair. On a lighter note, I would say who honorable must come and stay in the Eastern Cape to understand. I must go say Eastern Cape. Otherwise, Chair, we are thankful so far that we have presented the report, and also all the advices that have been put, they are taken cognizance of, and because the intention is that we must continuously improve, because no one wants any death in the name of initiation. So we'll continuously improve as the Eastern Cape and stand up, and we continue to mobilize and plead also from the side of the committee to assist us in terms of mobilizing the resources to curb this. It's not that the resources that are needed are not known. They are known, and fortunately that you also visited the areas. So far, thank you. That's all that I could say from the side of the Eastern Cape. Thanks.
Thank you, Honorable Matangu.
Chair, asizwanga kuthiwa honorable bani lo kufuneka ze-Eastern Cape ezofunda amasiko.
Akangabizwe ngegama. No, nobody was mentioned. I assume, I don't want, no, let me not assume, because the Nkosi Gwadiso is still here. But let's proceed with this. I think we must note that.
No, Chair, you can proceed, Chair, because even if we want to proceed, but there is an invitation, and then the context of that invitation needs to be clarified, Chair. We are doing our work here. We are not fighting anyone.
Yes.
Chair, I said on a lighter note, I
Yes,
would
Chair.
invite.
I think Nkosi Gwadiso has just spoken now, said on a lighter note, he invites, I don't want to assume.
Honorable Dlamini.
Oh, okay.
I mean, sorry, Mkalipi.
No, Chair, Chairperson. Chair,
Yeah.
with due respect, we can't allow that. We can't allow that joke. We are very serious here. And if I remember, Babu Kwatile, no one said does not understand Eastern Cape is Usigulas Eastern Cape. So our concern here is about the death of which all of us here, as parents, as stakeholders, as members of parliament, we must be concerned about the death of our kids in the Eastern Cape. And we are all saying here, as Fage Izandla, to resolve the issue of the dying of our kids in the Eastern Cape. It's not about not understanding isiko. That's why I'm saying that we, Chairperson, ikuze lendo because izogcina kambi. We must not allow such assertion to be asserted in this committee. We can't. This is not a joke issue. This is a very serious issue that you are dealing with here. Thank you, Chair.
I assume that that is noted. In fact, it will always be a sensitive matter to talk about this. So by implication, we must focus on what is the problem. Now, I was asking Nkosi Mahlangu, with making closing remarks.
No, thanks very much, Chairperson. Chair, there is this question that says, when does the committee get an updated report? I would like to bring this into light that NIOC is relying on PICCs. So now, whereby PICCs are not established, we don't know when are we going to get that report. So I would like the committee to note that because even the ones that are being established, we are still awaiting a full report. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, no, I wanted you to make closing remarks. The DM has committed you to say in the next quarter, you in terms of the time frames, we will expect a report as to what will be done in relation to PICCs and all that. As a committee will not come into that. DM, any closing remarks?
Chair, I was about to close, but I see the hand of Honorable Mpumza.
No, it's an old hand. I've been asking him to speak. So it's a historical hand.
Now there's another one coming up.
Now you invited.
I was not invited.
So let me
I'm
allow.
prompted.
You are
Thanks.
prompted.
I'm prompted. I'm prompted by the fact that I asked questions to the DG, and I thought that he was going to respond. We should include that case of Amahlubi in terms of the action that the department has taken, because that municipality of Stellenbosch has resisted on the 8th of November. The municipal manager informed the second and third applicant that the permission of occupying the property was not allowed the last year due to unfounded allegations that a fire broke out during the initiation last year. And and that has far-reaching implications. If municipalities were going to set a precedent wherein municipalities resist allowing our people to practice this freely due to their interest of tourism and other issues that they are interested in the Western Cape, actually. Thank you very much.
Yes, you are right. There was that question, and somebody, I don't know whether it was Nkosi Mahlangu, committed the DM to say we'll respond to or will update us about this Stellenbosch issue. Let me again try Honorable Mbumza to see if it is an old hand. Honorable Mbumza. Now it looks like it's an old hand. DM, whether you allow DG or whoever to respond to the latest questions and then make closing remarks.
It's an old hand, Chair.
It's an old hand. Thank you.
I will respond to the question by Honorable Neza. Luckily, as the Nkosi Mahlangu said, we had visited the Stellenbosch area, myself and DM Squatcher from the Land Affairs, because a portion of the land where this initiation was to take place at the time or took place, it belonged to the Department of Land Affairs and then some portions to the Department of Environment. So we had visited Stellenbosch. We met with the mayor, who unfortunately was not available, but the deputy mayor and municipal manager and other MNCs were all present. We engaged fully on the matter, the sensitivity of allowing cultures to be expressed wherever the people are, wherever they are as South Africans. We need to respect the cultures. I think that message was well received. And then they then explained as to why they put a ban. It was more around the incidences of fires in that particular area. But as you said, that the fires that broke out then were not as a result of initiation. Schools and therefore the issue was engaged and was already in court at the time. Luckily, the Contra Lesa and the practitioners of our cultures took the municipality to court, and then they won in court that traditions should be allowed. But in the long term, to cut the long story, we also met with the practitioners. In the long term, we had agreed that Western Cape, because we also met with the MEC for traditions and cultures here. We had said that there will be this year a provincial summit that brings all the stakeholders, including the government of the Western Cape and the municipalities where this element of tradition has always been facing challenges, to really have a formula that can be a formula that integrates all